What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about some games, 5 games, that I hope are in development for the PS5. Now, these are PS5 exclusive games. These are games that I am, again, wishing are in the works right now for the next-gen console, and that are only for the next-gen console. Now, much like any list I do on this channel, I tend to forget a lot of things for it. So, these are my 5 right now. I'm sure once you guys start to put in your own in the comments, I'll start to realize, oh man, I missed a couple of these. So, I mean, if you guys want to see more of these kind of videos, definitely make sure to leave this video a like, make sure to leave it a comment, spread it around so I can definitely, again, make some more videos just like this. I definitely love making these list videos, and something like this is something I've wanted to do for a very, very long time. All right, 5 games I hope are in development for the PS5. So again, these are only PlayStation, so don't expect Harry Potter, don't expect Batman. Also, don't expect games that would be third-party games, so like BioShock. And again, these are games that we don't know are in development. So like we know Demon Souls, we know that there probably is a Spider-Man 2, right? We can make a really good guess. God of War 2. So these do not include those kind of games. Number 5 is an infamous remake / remaster. So this is one that the more I talk about it, the more I really do want it. It's not something that's always like in the front of my mind, but in all reality, these infamous games really are special. Second Son, if you guys have been around the channel for any length of time, you maybe have heard me say, I'm not a fan of Second Son, but it did do some things better than Infamous. It also did a lot of things, including, I think, its main character, much worse. But I would love to see it, especially because these are really all separated. And I was talking to actually my friend about this, and he loves Infamous just as much as I do. And we don't want to play our PlayStation 3 version and then Second Son's on PS4. Put it all in one package. You know what I mean? Like with Infamous 1 and 2 are stuck on PS3. Second Son is stuck on PS4. They've had DLC, obviously First Light, Festival of Blood for Infamous 2. I mean, there's definitely things that you can put in that you can make, okay, let's do Infamous 1, 2, and Second Son. We'll have the DLC. You put it all in one, one copy, one disc, and you have it come out for the PS5. Now, again, would it be a remake? Would it be a remaster? I think a remaster would be pretty darn easy. I don't think you'd have to do nearly as much work, and especially even Second Son. I don't think you'd have to do all that much to it. Infamous 2, I think, still holds up really well, and Infamous 1, I think, does too. It's not really a franchise or like these games. I don't really think they need to be remade right away. I think it hasn't been that long. I think 2009 was the first Infamous game. It hasn't been that long. I don't think it's been long enough to demand that we get them remade, from the ground up for like next gen technology. But definitely a remaster again, even if just to put all these games in one package, and also to continue to promote the Infamous brand. I don't think this brand is dead. I don't think this brand is gone forever. I think Infamous will come back, but there's a comeback after Ghost of Tsushima, maybe, but I really do think Infamous is not gone. And in order for that to happen, though, you kind of have to bring the old games back a little bit. Number 4, and you're going to see a couple of these remakes, remasters, and I'm sorry about that, but number 4 is Resistance. I want a Resistance remake / you could even say a Resistance 4. I think for this one, it's very clear that like the Resistance remake probably needs to happen first. Insomniac put so much work into those Resistance games. It's one of, I think, the most tragic gaming stories like of all time. They worked so hard. They put so much effort. Sony, obviously invested a lot of money in them to do all that stuff. Obviously, they left then, right, to do Sunset Overdrive, and the games just never sold. These games were, again, I think they were probably like darlings on the internet, kind of like even like a last gen version of like Death Stranding. Not that it was so wildly weird and out there that it wasn't going to appeal to a mass variety of people, but Death Stranding did like super good online, like trailers and gameplay, and like everybody was so positive. But when it came to buying it, it didn't sell as well as I think a lot of people expected it to. You know what I mean? So it sold well. It sold over 5 million copies, but this wasn't in the elite, 10+ million territory that Sony does have other games hit. You know what I mean? So Resistance was kind of the same thing, I would imagine. I'd also would be hoping that if they bring it back, it needs to freaking sell. Buy these games. The Resistance franchise, I think, is one of the most underrated franchises ever created. It's such an amazing franchise. So I really do want it back with Insomniac now in the fold, and they released so many games. I don't know how big. Insomniac must be absolutely massive because they've released so many games over the last 5-6 years. Some games exclusive, some games not. But I think with them being back now, obviously Blue Point had hinted that maybe they were going to do it, but obviously that was part of their, are we doing Demon Souls? Are we doing Siphon Filter? Are we doing Resistance? Obviously they end up doing Demon Souls, but I think it's only a matter of time until Resistance makes its way back in some way. Number 3, and this is, I promise you, the last remake remaster, is Sly. The Sly, again, I think this one is definitely a remake too. We've seen Spyro, we've seen Crash, we've seen Shadow of the Colossus, we've seen Medieval, for God's sake. We've seen all of these games, but no Sly Cooper. Why does Sony hate Sly? I don't know. Sly did extremely well for them back, our old friend Sucker Punch, right? Sucker Punch did such a phenomenal job on those Sly games back in the time. And yeah, obviously Thieves in Time did not do well. There's a whole story, with that, as well as Zanzaru games. The fact that they did have actually additional content made and they were just kind of waiting for Sony to allow them to release it. I mean, Sly used to be such this icon, such this powerhouse. I think it's still very important. I don't think it'll ever go away, but the TV show being canceled or being postponed or whatever the heck happened with that, all this stuff, I don't think we're getting a Sly 5, especially not until we get these Sly remakes done. I think you don't remaster. I mean, if they remaster them, would I still buy them? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to support Sly no matter what, but a remaster, a remake, I need Sly back. I need it back in some way, and when it does come back, and I do think it will, I truly do believe Sly will come back in some form at some point on the PS5. When it does, we need to support that game like there is absolutely no tomorrow so we can get future Sly games. Maybe not everybody agrees with that, but I definitely need Sly back. Honestly, to me, some people say they grew up with Spyro. Some people say they grew up with Crash. Name your game. Sometimes it's Final Fantasy. But Sly is mine. Honestly, childhood, I absolutely loved. I played Sly 2. I played it probably like 15, 20 times just like in the first couple years that I owned that game. So I adore Sly. It's one of my favorite game franchises, easily, of all time. I need this game to come back. But, we've talked about some underrated games, right? I think Resistance is an underrated franchise. Sly has just been completely forgotten about. PlayStation All-Stars, that's my number 2. PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale 2. Now, again, this comes with a little bit more credibility. We've talked about this before. I've had videos on this channel before on All-Stars 2. There's been rumors that maybe this is something that could be happening. Maybe Capcom's helping, that there could be outside factors helping Sony out making this game. The thing that sucks is, they built a studio to make the first All-Stars. Sony built a studio of all these fighting game veterans, and then they closed. They shut the studio down after All-Stars. So it's not like the people that made the first one are going to be making the second one. In fact, there's just no way that's going to happen. But again, talk about underrated games. I think All-Stars is one of the most underrated games of all time. Is it as good as Smash? I actually like it in a lot of ways better. I'm actually not good, but I'm not as good as Smash as I am in All-Stars, and I also just don't play it as much. So it is definitely I understand I have a bias to it. I mean, there's a bias just by me making a PlayStation 5 thing, right? So I understand that, but at the same time, the game really did deserve better. I think we can all kind of agree on that. I think people did give it a chance. Not enough people gave it a chance. I think the game was definitely rock solid, even if you had gripes with it or problems with it. I think a lot of people would agree that it was a very solid, especially for a game like that. Definitely taking, that's a risk. That's a really big, you're going out to left field there for that one, and they took a big risk, and you know what? For what it was worth, the game was very, very solid. Again, tragically, it did not sell well enough. It didn't do well enough. They just shut it down. But I think if you just, again, give it another go, and I'm talking about Sony, if Sony just gives it another go, I really do think people would be out there supporting it. I feel like the second game would do a whole lot better than the first. Would it guarantee a third game? Probably not, but at least we would get it back. So, again, maybe even a remake or remaster or bringing, All-Stars, the first game, to PS5. That would be great, too, again, to kind of test things out, but definitely to bring it back. I want All-Stars 2. That's my vote for this second place on my list. And number 1, Uncharted, a brand new Uncharted game. Does it have to be Uncharted 5? No. It could be a brand new, it could be a spin-off Uncharted, but I think Uncharted absolutely needs to return. This one is an easy one. This one is, I don't really want them touching Nathan Drake's story. Even Naughty Dog, obviously there's not a lot of trust in Naughty Dog right now. I understand that, but I don't even really feel like Naughty Dog has to do it. Give it to another studio. There are other studios I think that can do it. Make your spin-off game. I played Uncharted. I actually replayed all these Uncharted games over the last couple months. I played Uncharted 4 for for its 4-year anniversary or right before. And I mean, Uncharted 4 is just such a special game. Even seeing with what they did with The Last of Us Part 2, what Naughty Dog did, and it's like, man, could you imagine with the new physics, the new just gameplay ideas that they've come up with? And again, it doesn't have to be Naughty Dog, but using what they used with The Last of Us Part 2, and then also, again, thinking PS5. Imagine what the PS5 could do for a game like this. We need a Uncharted, another Uncharted. I'm convinced we are not done with this franchise. It needs to return. So, guys, that is my list. I mean, that last one is very, very easy. Uncharted is my favorite franchise of all time. Uncharted 4 is my favorite game of all time. But let me know in the comments below, guys, what do you think? What are some games you think that you want for the PS5? Again, I'm sure I missed a lot. A lot of these obviously are very personal to me. I connect with them, but let me know what games. Again, I guess you don't have to be very specific for my list, but this list, again, is only PlayStation, exclusive for PlayStation, and games that we do not know about, that are not confirmed to be in the making, right? So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed, have that bell icon on, and I know I normally promote this in the beginning, but at the end, I'm going to do it here. We have a Discord channel, so if you guys have not yet joined the Discord channel, it'll be in the description below for those that have not yet checked it out, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.